Okay, number one here requires us to not use a calculator. So when you're doing the EOC, you will not have access to a calculator for this question. So it says, in which graph does the shaded region represent the solution set for the inequality? Now, if you're talking about a graph, always solve for y first, okay? So you always want to make sure that you solve for y. So off to the side here, that's what I'm going to do. Here's my inequality. An inequality is not much different than an equation in terms of like solving for y, okay? So here's my little line. You want to get y by itself. So I'm going to move this x. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, like so. Bloop, bloop. Now be careful. That's a negative 1y. Like it says negative y, so it really means like negative 1y, okay? Less than, and these are not like terms, so I write them out. I have a negative 2x and I have a positive 4. Last but not least, to get y by itself, I'm going to divide everything by negative 1. This is where an inequality is different than an equal sign. So I have y here. Now, because you divided by a negative, it flips the inequality, okay? So whenever you divide or multiply by a negative number, it flips the inequality. So my inequality is now a greater than sign. I flip it because I'm dividing by negative 1. So negative 2x divided by negative 1 is 2x. 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4. Now, the reason why that's important is for the shading. Since it's a greater than sign, we're going to be shading above. If it had been a less than sign, it would have been below, but it's greater than now because I had to flip it, remember? So it needs to be above the line. Now, if you look at your answer choices, there's only 2 sections here where it's like above the line. Let me try and get I think this one. There it is. So if you look here are my graphs. Now above the line, there's only 2 sections. There's only, it looks like B and D are above the line. If you look here, the other ones are not. Okay, so this is like, see, here's that line and it's everything below it. Here's that line and it's everything below it. So these are no good. It's either going to be B or D. And what you want to do is use, your equation. If you look at your equation, my y-intercept here is the constant or the number that's alone. And that y-intercept is going to be negative 4. Now, if you look at choice B, the y-intercept is positive 4. So choice B is not it, which means it has to be choice D. Choice D, it does, that y-intercept will eventually get to negative 4. And it does have a slope of positive 2. So choice D is your correct answer.